What an amazing victory by the New Orleans Saints. Last-minute field goal was enough to beat the Seattle Seahawks on Monday Night Football. The Saints, Jameis Winston, and everybody else in company picks up that victory over the Seahawks and advances to 4-2 following their bye week. Hello, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Time2Football. My name is Hassan Khan, the host of the show that we like to call Time2Football. Glad you guys are joining us for this wonderful Tuesday morning post Monday Night Football and the beginning of a brand new week of the NFL. Glad you guys are joining us for this episode. Let's go ahead and check in with you guys on the chat and see what you guys are up to right now. Looking ahead at the chat right now, what do we got? Everybody's saying good morning. Aloha, y'all. Aloha, Rob Dill. Glad you guys are joining us. Glad you are joining us specifically from Hawaii. Miguel, buenos dias from Puerto Rico. Yes, sir. Daily check-in. We love Miguel. We love Miguel with his daily check-in. Hey, today we're going to be talking about it's fantasy football. Every Tuesday and Friday on this live show, 10 a.m. through 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have this live show. And Tuesdays and Fridays, we talk about fantasy football. We look ahead at the week for Week 8. Give you guys an early head start. And today, we're going to focus in on the waivers. Because the waiver wire is filled with many players that you need to add off the... No. Actually, this deep into the fantasy football season, you guys are probably wondering, like, man, there's like no one left on the waivers. It's because there was a lot of content and a lot of players to talk about in the first few weeks on who you should add, looking at the outlook of the season. And now that everybody is picking up on it and adding them, now it's like, it's slim pickings. But we're going to hone in on a few players that you need to add and drop. And today we're going to give you a little bit of a preview of the ads and drops videos that we're going to be releasing later on this afternoon by showing you 3 players that you need to add and 3 players that you need to drop in fantasy football. We're going to show you that preview here in just a bit. As well as giving you players that you need to buy, sell, and hold in fantasy football for quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends, respectively. One for each position. Man, that Monday Night Football game was pretty crazy. Alvin Kamara is still doing it all. You know, going into the game, he didn't have that many receptions. I think it was only 15 receptions. And that was a team lead, by the way, which kind of shows you how much the Saints like to pass the ball. But 15 receptions through 5 games. And then, like, freaking 30-plus touches in that game. They made the game plan around Alvin Kamara, which was amazing to see. First, let's get into NFL news and notes that's going around the league as of today, Tuesday, October 26th. It's the 26th, right? Correct? I believe it is. What do we got right here? Injury news, or inactive news, I should say. Devonte Adams came down with COVID-19. His status is unclear. Ooh, that's a big blow. Devonte Adams, the leading receiver for the Green Bay Packers. Devonte Adams, one of the best receivers in the NFL. If he can't go, maybe you have Allen Lazard step up as the number 1 receiver. But hey, I mean, he did have a good showing this past week. But can you really rely on him to be the number 1 receiver for the Green Bay Packers? That is something that we have yet to see Allen Lazard take that next step. So with Devonte Adams out, we've seen this before when Adams has missed some times. No one really has stepped up in the place of Adams. I mean, with Robert Tonyan now there, maybe he could be the number 1 guy. But, I mean, we're just going to have to see. But as of right now, it looks like Devonte Adams, it's going to be a long shot to play against the Arizona Cardinals on Thursday Night Football. He won't be able to clear the protocols in time. So Adams, expect him to miss this game because of COVID-19. Tyrod Taylor, who injured his hamstring very early on in the season and was replaced by Davis Mills, he is now expected to return to practice this Wednesday. Good news for the Houston Texans. Get a little bit of a rejuvenation in that offense. Malcolm Brown, running back for the Miami Dolphins, has suffered a quad injury, and now he is placed on injured reserve, so he's going to miss a minimum of 3 games. He suffered that quad injury last week against the Atlanta Falcons, and it's going to be Salvon Ahmed and Myles Gaskin now getting the majority of the carries, and that's why Gaskin got the majority of the carries finally. Finally. Can we get a resounding finally? Okay, 1, 2, 3, finally. The Rock has come back. Yeah, but Myles Gaskin finally gets 15 carries, the touches that he deserves in this game, and you can expect to get that somewhat of that workload moving forward until Malcolm Brown were to return. So Myles Gaskin and Salvon Ahmed would be the beneficiary of Malcolm Brown missing some time. Will Fuller, speaking of the Miami Dolphins, is not expected to play in Week 8, still suffering from that broken finger. He is still on injured reserve. He has the ability to be activated pretty soon, but it looks like he's not going to be playing in Week 8. Michael Gallup, another wide receiver, he has been activated off of injured reserve, but more than likely he's not going to be playing this week. Sunday Night Football against the Minnesota Vikings. So keep that in mind, that Michael Gallup, his return is, what's the word? Remnant? Omnipresent? Reminiscent? I don't know the word. I don't know English. It's coming soon. But Gallup, as of right now, looks like he's not going to be playing in Week 8. Sticking with the wide receivers, OBJ, he has shoulder injuries. Both of his shoulders have been hurt. One of them has been hurt this whole time. Didn't think that he was going to be playing on Thursday Night Football against the Denver Broncos, and then they rushed him in, and then he hurt his other shoulder in the process of trying to make a catch along the sideline. So Odell Beckham Jr. now is in the conversation of having shoulder surgery, but it's looking like that he's not going to have that. He's not going to end his season or anything like that. He's going to play through it. He is going to play through it. So don't worry about that. OBJ might be returning sometime soon, might be playing next week. I don't know. But his outlook for the season is not promising. At least he's not going to miss any time as far as like the rest of the season. Significant time at least, because he's going to be opting out of shoulder surgery. Baker Mayfield, speaking of the Cleveland Browns, shoulder injury as well. He has not been practicing. They had practice this past Monday because I had an early week, and he decided not to practice. So he's going to be sitting out on that. Speaking of COVID-19, okay, we're kind of bummed that Devonte Adams has COVID-19. Are we bummed that Matt Nagy has COVID-19 as well? Chicago Bears fans especially, I might be very excited about that. But no, Matt Nagy, seriously though, he has COVID-19. We wish him all the best, and I hope that he were to get better. I know that a lot of people are calling for his job to be filled in by someone else that people believe could be more qualified. I mean, I think the Bears, just in general, there's a lot more behind the head coaching and the coaching that goes behind it. It's a offensive line. It's, Justin Fields has been playing poorly. A lot goes into it. But anyways, Matt Nagy has COVID-19. And then lastly, Nick Chubb has returned to practice this past Monday. Promising signs that he's going to be playing in Week 8 against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And that is your NFL news and notes for today, October 26th. Oh, man. Have you guys seen that Julian Edelman commercial where it's like, back to you, Jerry? I love that commercial. Ads and drops for fantasy football. We give you a little bit of a preview today before we release the official video later on Tuesday afternoon. So if you're new and you're joining in for this live stream, first of all, thank you. We do this Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And make sure you subscribe to this channel so you can get a full look at our ads and drops for the week. Because we mentioned 4 for each position, 4 ads and 4 drops. While right now we're just going to mention 3 ads and 3 drops. Just a little bit of a preview. So I'm going to go ahead and go with our ad of the week. First off, with the quarterback position. Just to give you a little bit of a preview, you may want to think about adding Deshaun Watson. Yes, we are buying in on the Deshaun Watson train. Listen, it may not work out. Listen, Deshaun Watson may not have a lot of time to learn the offense of whichever team he goes to. But listen, his name value alone is enough to make a significant impact in fantasy football. What do I mean by that? Okay, so it's come down to 2 teams, the Miami Dolphins and the Carolina Panthers. Both have great weapons on their offense. Both would be an asset to Deshaun Watson and his fantasy value. Now, if it doesn't work out with Deshaun Watson and you're set at quarterback, you can trade him. As soon as he gets traded to like the Carolina Panthers, be like, hey, you need a quarterback. I will trade you Deshaun Watson for a running back or a receiver or whoever. Deshaun Watson has so much value in fantasy football right now, it is ridiculous. And I'm not talking about just the fantasy points that he could score. I'm talking about trade value. Take advantage of that. Seriously, take advantage of that. Especially if you're in a keeper league and Deshaun Watson was drafted, like he went undrafted or he was drafted late. And so like next year, you don't have to give up that much to keep Deshaun Watson. Trade him. Trade him to someone that's like, listen, he's on the Miami Dolphins now. He's going to have a bright future. And all you got to do is just give up a 15th round pick to have Deshaun Watson as your quarterback for next year. That's why Deshaun Watson is our quarterback ad of the week. Now, let's talk about another ad, our second ad that we just wanted to preview. I think this is pretty obvious right now. It's Kenneth Gainwell. Now, hold on. Okay, don't get too excited about Kenneth Gainwell. Here's the thing. I added Kenneth Gainwell in fantasy football in both my leagues. And I was high on him. I thought he could surpass Miles Sanders as a starting running back. And then I sooner rather than realized that that's not going to happen. And the reason being is because Nick Sirianni and the coaching staff, I don't trust them, number one. Number two, they don't run with the ball a lot. And then when they got the idea, they finally realized, hey, we need to run with the ball a lot more. They gave it to Miles Sanders, and Kenneth Gainwell was just kind of out of the loop. And then when Miles Sanders got hurt, it was Boston Scott that was on the ground, getting 7 carries. Kenneth Gainwell was on 35% of snaps, or 35 total snaps, as opposed to Boston Scott, who's on 23. But that's what it's going to look like. It's going to be a timeshare. Okay, so you could add Kenneth Gainwell if you're pretty desperate at running back. But, dude, I'm just giving you a heads up right now. Don't get too excited. Miles Sanders, he's going to be week to week. So he may miss like a few weeks. Yes, Kenneth Gainwell, maybe he could fill in. Sure. I'm just saying, don't give up too much for Kenneth Gainwell. Don't get too excited. I mean, he'll be like a plug-and-play, flex play here and there. But don't get too excited. It looks like it's going to be a committee-shared backfield with Boston Scott. And Kenneth Gainwell is just going to be the passing down back. So PPR, sure. But in general, nah. Okay, last little preview I want to show you, ad of the week. Evan McPherson. Dude, guys, what are you doing? I said this since week 1. Evan McPherson. I said this since the draft rankings, that Evan McPherson was going to be a top 10 fantasy kicker. And it's trending in that direction. Double-digit points in the last 2 weeks. And as long as the Bengals offense continues to click, Evan McPherson's upside is going to continue to shoot on up. Evan McGoatson. Because he's the GOAT. Maybe it's going to be this year. Maybe it's going to be in his career. But I promise you, as long as Evan McPherson is going to be playing in the NFL, he's going to be one of the more accurate kickers that we have ever seen in the NFL. I'm not going to say all time, but I'm just going to say in the duration that he's going to be playing in the NFL. Evan McPherson is going to be one of the best. So, McPherson has only owned in 8% of fantasy football leagues. So if you're that chump that got Jason Myers because ESPN told you to draft him because he was going to be a top 3 fantasy kicker, drop that dude. Pick up Evan McPherson. I've been rolling with Evan McPherson since week 1, and I'm 6-1 in my league. Do it, dude. Do it. You will not be disappointed. He had that one little game against the Green Bay Packers and Mason Crosby, and where he just, I don't know, they missed like 76 field goals. But besides that, McPherson has been beautiful for fantasy football. Okay, and I'm going to show you, just quickly go through the drops. I'm not going to go through too much of an explanation. I think it's kind of self-explanatory on who these drops are. First off, Mecole Hardman. It's as long as the Chiefs' offense continues to struggle, Mecole Hardman's fantasy value diminishes. And even if they were to succeed, Mecole Hardman as a wide receiver too, he's not going to do much. Okay, so that is drop number 1 as a preview. Drop number 2, people might be surprised by this, but be like, oh, really? You would? Yeah, drop Nyheim Hines. It's Marlon Mack who's going to be the backup in case Jonathan Taylor were to get hurt. So pick up Marlon Mack if you're a Jonathan Taylor owner. Besides that, nah. Nyheim Hines. His role is diminished to just certain packages and special teams. So I would drop him. And then lastly, sadly, it's come to this point. Justin Fields is a drop in fantasy football. Not too big on him. I had high hopes on him going into the season. I thought he was going to be, his rushing ability was going to carry the offense, but it's looking like that he continues to struggle with the turnovers, and that's something I don't want to deal with, so I'm going to go ahead and drop him. That is your ads and drops. Just a little bit of a preview. Again, later on this afternoon, probably in the next couple hours or so, I'm going to release that official video and you're going to see more adds and drops. So that's just a little bit of a preview for you guys that are early birds. All right, players that we need to target in fantasy football. Who should we add, drop, or not just add and drop, but players that you need to buy, sell, and hold in fantasy football. We're going to give one for each. One buy, one sell, one hold for quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers, and tight ends. Starting with quarterbacks. The player that you need to buy in on, Carson Wentz. So we come out with a stat in our draft rankings every year. Pre-draft rankings called standard deviation, which tells us how consistent a quarterback is. And that factors into our fantasy rankings. And it matters because consistency matters. If you have a safe floor, then you're good. Carson Wentz is someone who is very consistent and has been a consistent player ever since his time back in Philadelphia. Even if he were to do bad, he would be either consistently good or consistently bad. The good thing is that he stays consistent no matter if he does good or bad. And this year, he's doing good, so you can see that he's going to be consistently good. He's putting up 17, 18, 19 fantasy points every single week. Had one little anomaly, you're going to get that. 2% of your games are going to be outside of that 17 through 21 fantasy point window range, whatever it is for Carson Wentz. And he had that against the Tennessee Titans, I think. I believe it was the Tennessee Titans, where he had 7 fantasy points. It's going to happen. But Carson Wentz is a guy that's widely available on waivers, so you may not even have to buy in on him. And if you're in super flex leagues or you just need a quarterback because you're so desperate at that position, you have no one else available, think about buying low on Carson Wentz. Like super low. And he could get you consistent 17 points every single week. So Carson Wentz, player that I would buy in on. Also, looking at his schedule coming up. Now, the fantasy playoffs himself with Carson Wentz may not be the best schedule, but going into the playoffs, you got Houston, the Jets, Tennessee. Those are games that he could do really well in. So buy in on Carson Wentz. Now, sell. Quarterback that you need to sell, Matt Ryan. Has been looking pretty good, hasn't he? The last 3 weeks or so. But I'm saying to sell him right now just because if you can't deal with the next schedule or the next 4 games coming up with Matt Ryan, and you're in that spot where you're fighting for a playoff spot in the next 4 weeks, and you can't afford to lose any more games, I would sell Matt Ryan right now because this game's coming up. Carolina, New Orleans, Dallas, and New England, the next 4 games. Those are 4 mediocre to great or bad matchups for Matt Ryan. So I would sell him to someone that sees his fantasy points like, oh man, Matt Ryan, he's been putting up a lot of points. Yeah, get rid of him because the schedule the next 4 games. I mean, I'm not saying it's bad. It's not terrible. But it has the potential to be bad and ugly for Matt Ryan. So I would just go ahead and sell him. And then hold. I'm just going to go ahead and say this because the media is going to talk. And they haven't been looking good. Turnovers have been bad. But Patrick Mahomes is a player that you need to hold. Okay, because you're going to see him play. You're going to see that he's not been looking that good. You're going to see the concussion that he had. Potential concussion. He cleared concussion protocol, but he's fine. You're going to see that and freak out. But he's still a top 5 fantasy quarterback as far as points go for the season. So I don't do anything crazy with Patrick Mahomes. I would go ahead and hold him. And, that's pretty much it. Nothing else to say. Running backs, player that you need to buy, Kareem Hunt. Take advantage of this while he's hurt because if you're in a position where you're 7-0, 6-1, 5-2, heck, maybe even 4-3, and you know that you're going to make the playoffs eventually, think about buying Kareem Hunt if you have the chance to sacrifice having him being out for the next 3 to 5 weeks or so, I think is the timetable that we're looking at right now. I say that because in the fantasy playoffs, in Week 15 and Week 16, I believe it is, he faces Las Vegas and Green Bay, which is pretty good matchups. And even outside of the matchups, Kareem Hunt has the ability to put up good points regardless of what the matchup is. So Kareem Hunt is a player that you need to buy. Player that you need to sell at the running back position, it's Zach Moss. Oh, man, Zach Moss could be a sleeper. Sell him. Oh, man, Zach Moss has been looking great the past few. Sell him. Listen, how Zach Moss has looked the last few weeks, I think the week before his bye week, he didn't do that well. But previously, before that, I think there was like a string of 3 games where you put up double-digit fantasy points. Cool. Awesome. That's great. Now sell him. Because he's reached his potential. He's reached his cap. They're going to continue to split time evenly with Devin Singletary and Zach Moss. Josh Allen is also going to take some carries away from Zach Moss. Listen, man, I'd go ahead and sell Zach Moss if I can. I had Zach Moss in one of my leagues, and I paired Zach Moss and Jacoby Myers to trade him away for Josh Jacobs a couple weeks ago when he was on that string of good games. So, I mean, I would just encourage you guys to do the same thing. Player that you need to hold for now, because I want to be optimistic, but the way that his handcuff has been playing recently gives me not too much optimism. David Montgomery. You want to continue to hold him because he's freaking David Montgomery. He's probably your second, third round pick. But Khalil Herbert has been looking great. So it makes me wonder, is David Montgomery going to continue to be in a workhorse role when he comes back, or is he going to split time with Khalil Herbert? I don't know. But I'm willing to find out. I'm willing to hold on to him and see what happens. So that's a running back that you need to hold. Wide receivers, players that you need to buy. Brandon Cooks. I'm so glad that Brandon Cooks had a string of games where, the last couple games where he hasn't been looking that great as far as fantasy points go. Because now that gives me the opportunity to reach out to the Brandon Cooks owner, be like, listen, how much do you want for Brandon Cooks? Look at his schedule coming up. Seattle, the Jets, Jacksonville, the Chargers, the Dolphins. 5 games where Brandon Cooks has the potential to put up double-digit fantasy points. He's getting the targets. He's getting 7 to 10, 11, 12 targets a game. He's getting the looks. And Tyrod Taylor is expected to return pretty soon. So I'd buy in on Brandon Cooks if I had the opportunity. Sell Julio Jones. I mean, we told you this preseason that A.J. Brown was going to be the number 1 receiver in Tennessee. Julio Jones, great player. He's going to help them win some games. But the way it's been looking, 5 targets a game, that's not the Julio Jones that we've known. So take advantage of the name value of Julio Jones and be like, listen, if you need a wide receiver, I could sell you Julio Jones as a wide receiver 2, even though he hasn't been performing as a wide receiver 2. Sell him. Sell him as a wide receiver 2 just because of his name value. And then a hold. Wide receiver that you need to hold for now, Laviska Shenault. And when I say players that you need to hold, you could sell them in the future, but I'm just saying hold because I want to wait and see how he operates for the next week or two. Last week's, or before the bye week, when they had that game against the Miami Dolphins in London, that gave me some hope for Laviska Shenault. Now, he dropped a lot of passes. There was just miscommunication with Trevor Lawrence. Yeah, he only had 6 receptions, but he looked his way 10 times. Laviska Shenault, we also said, was going to be the guy that stepped up to be the number 1 receiver once DJ Chark lost his playing time for the ankle injury that he suffered. I still believe that's going to happen. I still believe that Trevor Lawrence, Laviska Shenault, they're going to get that chemistry rolling and that 10 targets, the 10 looks that he saw going his way against the Miami Dolphins. That gives me a lot of hope. So Laviska Shenault is a player that you need to hold for now. Tight ends. Player that you need to hold for tight ends. Darren Waller. Or no, player that you need to buy for tight ends, Darren Waller. I'm going to continue to mention Darren Waller until I run this to the ground, until he has a really good game, because he's one of the best tight ends in the NFL. His value is just going to continue to lower and lower and lower every single week as long as he has that injury, as long as he doesn't perform that well, as long as he has a bye week. Now's the bye week. Now's the time for a frustrated Darren Waller owner to trade him away and you to take advantage of that if you need a tight end. Sell Dawson Knox. I'm not saying Dawson Knox is going to be bad. I'm saying if you're fighting for a playoff spot and you need a tight end, he's going to miss a few weeks. So you've got to get rid of Dawson Knox because he's not going to be around. Now, they're optimistic, the Bills are, that it's sooner rather than later for Dawson Knox. But I would go ahead and sell him if you're in that position where you're 4-3, 3-4, where every game matters at this point. Sell Dawson Knox. And hey, also take advantage. He's a top 5 fantasy tight end. So really hone in on that you got to sell Dawson Knox, top 5 fantasy tight end. And then lastly, player that you need to hold, Tyler Hickby. Not been looking good for Hickby. Not the season that many projected that he would have a breakout season now that Jared Everett left. But the targets are there. The targets are continuing to fill in. He's going to continue to get the ball. They're going to continue to feed him. The targets are promising. Just keep on holding on to Tyler Hickby. I mean, what else are you going to do? It's a tight end position. Who else are you going to start? Freaking Eric Ebron? Tyler Conklin? Nah. I mean, it's tough out there. So if Tyler Higbee is your best bet, hold on to Tyler Higbee. Tate just commented, what do you do with Fant? Hold on to him, dude. Hold on to him. Hold on to him and rename your team OnlyFans. That's what I would do. Now that I acknowledge your question, let's get into that section where we answer viewer questions. Where you guys, man, I misspelled answering again. Oh, I didn't change this. Okay. Yeah, so it says andering, but it's supposed to be answering. Whatever. Let's go ahead and acknowledge you guys in the comments. What you guys are saying. Carl, good morning, y'all. Good morning. Gnarly Burrito, howdy. How's it going? Zobu, Michael Thomas news. Okay, the last that I heard was last week that he's still a few weeks away. At this point, I'd try to get rid of him, dude. Not worth holding on to. Oh, he's taking up a space in my IR spot? With the amount of running backs that are injured, I could put my running backs in that IR spot. I'm not saying drop them, but you could sell them. What is it, week 8? And if we expect him to miss maybe 3 more weeks, nah, get rid of him. I need someone that drafted Michael Thomas pretty high up, like 5th round, 6th round. And I was like, because at the time of the draft, it was, they announced that he was going to miss a minimum of like 8 weeks. And I was like, what are you doing, dude? 5th rounder, 6th rounder, you could have gotten Jamal Chase. But anyways, he got Michael Thomas, and now he's going to be expected to miss some time. So that's the last I heard about Michael Thomas. Family functions. Hello, good morning. Good morning to you. Great morning, actually. Wow, dude. Okay. You're chipper this morning. I love it. I love it a lot. Rob, PPR. Aaron Jones, Mixon, Hubbard, Gaskin. Ooh, okay. A lot of players. What's the question? I'm trying to figure out who to keep and trade wide receiver 1 upgrade advice. That's a lot, dude. Loaded questions like this are kind of hard to answer just because it's a lot. I don't read a lot. Aaron Jones, Mixon, Hubbard, Gaskin, Khalil Herbert, McKissick, Gainwell, Miles. I'm trying to figure out who to keep. Well, I guess you got to keep Gainwell and Miles Sanders. You got to keep Khalil Herbert for this week, at least. I mean, I try to keep all of them. If you had to drop any of them, it'd be McKissick. But that's it. That's it. Because everybody else is an asset for this week at least. Mauricio. Is that how you pronounce it? Good morning, guys. Emmanuel Sanders, Jacoby Myers, rest of the season. Emmanuel Sanders, Jacoby Myers. I got rid of him. Not worth it. Google account. Yes on Chubb. Yes, sir. EMAD, bro. Amazing commercial. LOL. Oh, you talk about the back to you, Jerry. I love that commercial. Is you gonna get it truly? Back to you, Jerry. I love that. Big Jim Gene. If I have Zeke and Mixon, is now the time to sell high on Kamara to get rid of Mixon? PPR 12-team Dynasty League. Okay, Dynasty. All right. I don't dabble in Dynasty too much. I mean, I have a league where I do keepers, so that's the only thing. It's just one keeper in a redraft league. But if I have Zeke and Mixon, is now the time to sell high on Kamara or get rid of Mixon? If you had to choose between the two, because I'd like to keep both. I'd rather get rid of Mixon than Kamara. And that's what I would do. CHB, good morning. Picked up Deshaun on Friday and Marlon Mack. Yes, sir. You know what's up. Hey, you know what's up. Hey, everybody that has Nyheim Hines, the 49% of you guys that own him in ESPN leagues, drop him. Drop him. Oh, man, but he's asleep. Drop him. But, man, look at his past stats. Drop him. What's he doing this year? Nothing. Drop him. Carl, so I have Kyler Murray as my starter quarterback, and I also have Aaron Rodgers as my backup quarterback. Should I trade him for Noah Fant since Waller is on a bye, and also for a flex for a few weeks, or should I stream a tight end? I mean, if you have Kyler Murray and Aaron Rodgers, that makes me question why'd you draft two great quarterbacks like that, and you probably missed on the opportunity to draft someone else in like the 6th round or the 7th round, like Mike Williams, Deebo Samuel, Jamar Chase. So I mean, at this point, having those two quarterbacks isn't too much of an asset for you. I'd rather be in the position of having one good quarterback and then for the bye week for that quarterback suffering through it, like streaming a quarterback, than like any other position suffering. So to answer your question, should I trade Kyler Murray and Aaron Rodgers or Aaron Rodgers? Yes, you should. Now, should it be for Noah Fant just for 1 week while Darren Waller? No. I would stream a tight end, but I would trade Aaron Rodgers for maybe someone else. There's someone that needs a quarterback, but you need like a running back, receiver, something that can help you for the rest of the season, not just for one bye week, but for the rest of the season. Use that to your advantage. You have two quarterbacks, trade them away. I say this so many times. There's someone in my league that has Tom Brady and Dak Prescott. There's someone in my league that has like Josh Allen and like Aaron Rodgers. Like, there's no need for two elite quarterbacks on the same team. No need. Just trade them. Trade them away. Get something out of it for the rest of the season. Miguel, should I drop Ramondre Stevenson and add David Johnson, Samaje Perine, Salvon Ahmed, Boston Scott, Alexander Madison? This is for having depth on the bench. Okay, so if you're having depth on the bench, it would either be, I would do Boston Scott. Boston Scott got 7 carries, a rushing touchdown. Yeah, don't get too high in Kenneth Gainwell, guys. He's an ad, and he's an ad over Boston Scott. But Boston Scott would still be on my list of a player that I would like to add. So if you want to drop Stevenson, sure. For Boston Scott, that'd be fine. CHB, should I drop Ramondre for Brandon Bolden? I'm going to say no. I'm going to say Ramondre Stevenson, even when Damian Harris was healthy, he was still getting like 11 carries. He was just out for this game. J.J. Taylor, maybe he dethroned Ramondre Stevenson as the top back or the number 2 back. But I would rather have J.J. Taylor over Brandon Bolden. If you're thinking about dropping Ramondre Stevenson for anyone, it'd be for J.J. Taylor. I would think about him over Brandon Bolden. Jeremy Cosby. So I have both Antonio Brown and Gainwell on the waivers in 12-team league. I currently have Brown as my number 1 priority, but was wondering if I should change it to Gainwell or keep it as it is. Keep it as it is. Antonio Brown is going to be an asset for the rest of the season. Gainwell only for like the next 3-4 weeks or so. And even in those 3-4 weeks, he's going to have maybe just 55%, 60% max of the touches compared to Boston Scott, who's going to have 45 to 40%. So Antonio Brown, he's going to be a wide receiver 2 at best, wide receiver 1 at best in certain games. I'd rather have Antonio Brown. Rob, Lamar on bye. Who do I stream this week? Bridgewater, Wentz, Ryan, or Lawrence? I have not had a chance to look at the schedule, so I haven't made my start to sits yet, so I can give you a clearer answer by tomorrow if you tune in for that live stream. Antoine, thanks for your insight. I won this week 4-3 so far. Would you trade Elijah Mitchell for Chase Edmonds? Yes. I did that because on this show, I give so much praise to Chase Edmonds. One of the most underrated running backs that you could own. People are like, oh, he's not an RB1. Who cares? He's a consistent flex play. I'd rather have that, man. Chase Edmonds. Elijah Mitchell, it's going to be, number 1, I can't trust Kyle Shanahan. Number 2, Jermichael Hasty, Trey Sermon, Jeff Wilson is going to be coming back in late November for the rest of the season. I'd rather have Chase Edmonds, who's continuing to get carries even when James Conner is getting carries as well. Chase Edmonds is the guy. Trade Godwin for Diggs straight up. This is by Keith Fobbs Jr. Again, I I've said this on the show. I am not a big fan of position for position trade because it's like if you offer Godwin for Diggs, that other person's like, wait, why are you doing receiver for receiver? You know something that I don't? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'd rather do receiver for running back. I don't understand that, but I mean, I think they're both in the same tier. It doesn't make that much of a difference. That's why I'm like, nah. I mean, it's whatever. Sure, if you're higher on Diggs, I mean, it's not going to make a difference. Whatever makes you happy, sure, but like nah. Jordan, oh my gosh, did you really say that, Jordan, whatever your name is. Chase Edmonds drop. I'm going to have to cut this live stream right now. If you drop him, can I be in your league and pick him up? No, don't drop him. Don't drop him. Be patient with him. You may not like it, but you got to look at the numbers. He's getting the volume. He's getting the volume. And he's so freaking consistent. He had a string of like 3 games where, I mean, last week he kind of was okay. 9.5 half-point PPRs. 9.5 points in half PPR leagues. But, nah, I mean, I wouldn't drop him. Corey, no Waller. Should I start CJ Uzomah or more Allen Cox? Again, I have not worked on my starts and sits yet. I cannot give you an answer because I don't even know the schedule just yet. 100% don't know the schedule. I know some games, but I can't give you an answer just yet. Let's see. What else? Rob, sorry for the long question, bro. No, you're good, bro. Hey, no hard feelings. I just see a lot of that, and I'm like, oh, man, it's overwhelming. That makes me think. I don't like to think. But I'm just messing with you. I'll answer it. Happily answer it. Arthur, man, what do I do with Jamal Williams and Rondale Moore? I thought they would be productive by now, so could I use them on bye weeks? Maybe Rondale Moore, but Jamal Williams, nah. Hey, remember when I came out with this fantasy football rankings list and I said DeAndre Swift would be the RB6, and I got a lot of crap for it? And people were like, nah, Jamal Williams is better than DeAndre Swift. He's got to have a bet. Nah. Okay, so Jamal Williams is suffering through it. DeAndre Swift has solidified his role as the RB1. I mean, during bye weeks, if they're your only choice, sure, but like, nah, I'm not too hopeful on it. Ooh, I am going way over the time, so I gotta cut it off right now. But hey, I appreciate you guys joining us for this episode of Time2Football. Again, I'm gonna go ahead and release the ads and drops video later on this afternoon, so be on the lookout for that. Subscribe to this channel so you can stay up to date. Probably, 10:40 a.m. Eastern Standard Time right now. Probably around like 12:30, 1 o'clock, you'll see that. And then later on, you're going to see the trade targets that we just talked about in this video split up as well. With all that said, thank you guys so much for watching this video. And remember, back to you, Jerry.